eating Grape. Oh my God. That's not how you start a video. My grandmother is happy, like happy and healthy, the guy. Living out in Fort Myers, Florida. Living the white people's dream of living in Florida.
That is where everyone goes to. That is just where everyone migrates.
It's fucking wild.
But you know what else is wild? The regions of Portugal, as well as the wine of Portugal. Ah, no way. It's true. So let's get into it. Climate and grape growing is where we always start. We're having a range of climates depending on where we are in terms of latitude. In Portugal, we have a large gap in terms of our south facing or our southern vineyards versus our northern vineyards. We are having a drastic influence of the Atlantic Ocean on the vineyards, especially those towards the coast. And most of the country is in a maritime climate, except for those that are mostly inland to the east. Our most inland vineyards are going to be hotter, they're going to be drier, and they're going to experience more of a continental climate. Altitude can help to mitigate this higher temperature if the vineyards are near hills or sort of mid-slope. There is a large difference in the annual average temperatures, partly due to the, or rather, partly due to this variety of temperatures. There's a diversity in wine styles in Portugal.
All right, Portuguese wine laws that we need to know. Our PDO is going to be translated to DOP, Dominical de Origem Protegida. It's the traditional term DOC, Dominical de Origem Controlada, is also used. So you'll see DOC, He's pouring Red Bull into his Nitro Pepsi.
Vanilla flavor.
But where was I? The DOP and the DOC are going to be used interchangeably on the label, pretty much mean the same thing. And your PGI wine is going to be translated to IGP wine. Your Indicación Geografía Protegida. The traditional term of Vino Regional is also used to denote regional Portuguese wine. And table wine just uses the straight label of Vino. Some simple rosés have been produced with this label recently and have found decent success in the wine market.
So our major regions, the first one and one of our most northern regions we want to talk about is Vinho Verde. This is in northwest Portugal, and it's extremely close to the Atlantic Ocean. It borders it in some areas. This is creating a moderate maritime climate for the region. And since its proximity to the ocean is so drastic, we're seeing high amounts of rainfall to the point where it becomes a hazard to the vineyards. This can encourage excessive canopy growth, which can mitigate sunlight and also can encourage disease. So we don't want moisture. If we have extra moisture, we have an increased amount of disease pressure. Vines are actually trained to aid mechanization as vineyards modernize in those flatter areas. White wines, Vinho Verde, grapes are going to be the Laurento grape, Arinto, as well as Alvarinho, which is our Portuguese version of Alvarinho that we see in Spain. Vinho Verde Alvarinho is entirely Alvarinho, and it's going to be slightly higher in alcohol, and they have more ripe tropical flavors due to this warmer temperature. We're going to have it have a sort of paler lemon color with high acid and a lower amount of alcohol. And wines, even with the lower alcohol, are usually going to be made in an off-dry style. The black grapes that we're seeing are also going to be grown for red production as well as some rosé production.
Moving on to the Douro Valley. This was actually the first demarcated and legislative wine region in the world. And as such, where our region has a large production of port, something we'll talk about in our fortified video sometime soon. We have 5 principal varietals that we need. Most of them are used for port that are grown here. So we have Touriga Nacional, that is considered to be the highest quality. And when you have lower yields of Touriga Nacional, you have concentrated wines with very high tannins. Next, you have the grapes Touriga Francia, Tinto Roriz, which is also Tempranillo. They're the same thing, Tinto Roriz, Tempranillo. You have Tinta Barroca and Tinto Cao. And the styles of these wines tend to be full-bodied with rich and heavy tannins and various notes of like black fruit. Your high-quality wines can mature in new oak. If the winemaker wants to add those like toast characteristics, very characteristics of oak. And high altitude wines in this region can have almost like a fresh quality to it with a medium to high acidity.
Then the region of the Dow, we're going to have very mountainous vineyards with higher altitude. These vineyards are going to be in the winter going to be wetter. They're going to be on the cooler side, while the summers are going to be the opposite, where they're dry and warm. And during the growing season, we're having a high amount of diurnal range, which leads to really nice conditions where it's nice and warm in the morning and nice and cool in the evening, allowing grapes to properly ripen and get the right amount of acidity and sugar balance as well while they ripen. And this provides for extremely high quality wine. Our style is going to be a bit delicate and red fruited with high acid and softer tannins, but our high quality grapes in the region are going to be made up of Touriga Nacional, Tinto Ruiz, Jaén, and Chiro. We'll go with that. Those are going to be what we're going to see most of our production in, and Afro Chiro is going to have a deep color with characteristics of strawberry and blackberry, very intense and aromatic, as well as extremely intense on the palate as well. Our high quality white wines are going to come from the grape Encruzado, which is going to be from a lighter style that's going to be a little bit more refreshing and delicate, all the way to a more oaked, rich style. It's going to have a little bit more texture and complexity.
So between the region of Dow and the Atlantic, there exists Barita, our next region. And here you're going to have a maritime climate due to the proximity to the ocean. And here, a native red grape called Vaga is the dominant grape here. So just some things about this grape. It's very late ripening with thick skin. So you're going to have wines come out of this grape that are going to have very deep color and very high tannins. Some other grapes that are grown here include Touriga Nacional, Alfrochero, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Syrah. White wines are also made in the region of Barita with the local varieties Bical and Maria Gomez.
And then we have the region of Alentejo. We're going to have a warmer growing season, and this region is going to be the most southerly region, and it's made up of 8 subregions that exist within the larger area of Alentejo. The regions that are going to be a little bit cooler are going to be a little bit more moist, that are towards the north, and these wines are going to be a little bit more delicate, while our more southern regions are going to be hotter, warmer, drier, and are going to produce more richer and fuller-bodied wines. The primary grapes that we're going to see are Agarrones, which is also another nerve for Tempranillo, Trincadera, which is a drought-resistant grape that is going to be characteristically notes of red fruit as well as some spice. In this grape is going to have high tannin profile. Alicante Bouchette is going to be deeper in color and high in tannin. And all of these wines are used commonly in blending different amounts to bring different characteristics. Each of them has their own sort of profile that may contribute to a beneficial blend. Our higher quality production we're seeing is recently taken up by Syrah and Touriga Nacional. We're seeing a little bit of that recently. And our white wines are not as popular as our red varieties, but we are seeing some fermentations of Arintu, Antavas, and Roprito. Yeah?
That's probably how I say it.
Sure.
The last region we got is Vinho Regional. This is the largest region of Portugal, and it's actually based around the Alentejo DOC, but it actually covers a far more extensive area. As such, the regulations are very relaxed in this region, so you have a much wider array of grape varietals that can be planted, including your international varietals. So that's it. That's Portugal. Portugal until we talk about port. What about Portugal?
We're gonna find out, but not soon. Probably in a while.
Like 2 days.
We have the whole new world to.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Okay, keep it real.
Keep it real.